Good morning, America. Jeff here. Hey, I'm going to attempt to do something today. I'm going to put the election day and all the stress and anxiety and turmoil and divisiveness and worry and hope and joy and whatever else it is through our Archangel model so you can see how you can best navigate today and thrive, soar, flourish to the very best of your ability on a day that is tough and anxiety producing and involving a lot of waiting. I'm excited to do this. If you want to know more about our Archangel model, I am creating a book about this model, and I would love to have you involved. Looking for 100 early readers. We've got about 25 already, just started this week. If you want to become an early reader, just put book in the comments, Let's jump in and let's do this, and let's have a little bit of fun with a topic that can be quite stressful. Here we are. So the very first thing we're going to look at is we're going to draw one circle here. This is the center of our model. And the center of our model is you. It's you. You, right here. You. We call this the self. The self. Like you're the center of your sphere of influence. You are the most important. And today, the question is, despite everything that's going on, some people worried, some people not worried, some people anxious, some people not anxious, some people terrified, some people not terrified, some people hopeful, some people not hopeful, right? We're all a bit different, and that's what makes the world beautiful. But the question is, how can you thrive today? How can you be your fullest and greatest version of yourself? That's the question we're asking. And in a binary world where there are really only two options, one thing we can play around with is two directions that you can take. You can be your lesser self. You can be your lesser self, lower self, or you can be the highest and best version of yourself. Highest and best. Now, those are the two pathways that you're going to get to choose to go on today. And what I want to tell you is, as almost impossible as this might be, you can choose either of these pathways, A or B, and it's actually not related to the result. In other words, in life, really tough stuff happens, and that's not an excuse to be your lower self, right? How do you be your best self when a family member is dying? How do you be your bravest and kindest when you're hurting and injured? How do you thrive in a separation, right? How can you be great when you've had the best day of your life, right? It doesn't always follow that because things are going great, we behave well, and when things are going badly, we behave badly. That's not the case. And the temptation today, of all days, is going to be, and these all make sense, so I'm not judging you for them, but the temptation is going to be very anxious, right? The temptation is going to be to isolate. The temptation is going to be angry. The temptation is going to be ignorant of other people's feelings and points of views. The temptation is going to be for some to isolate, right? The temptation is going to be divisive. Not saying why you feel this way, but there's going to be that temptation. And we can all agree that when we isolate, when we're overly anxious, when we're angry about everything, when we're ignorant of other people's feelings, when we're being divisive, this is not the best version of ourself. It's not, right? And so instead, the model I'm going to take you through, and this will be quite a long teaching, warning, but please watch it and share it. If you want to know more about the model I'm about to teach, put book into the comments. Instead, this can be a time when instead of isolating, you connect. This can be a time when instead of being overtly anxious, you find calm. This can be a time instead of being angry that you are curious. This can be a time instead of being ignorant that you are open. And this can be a time, instead of being divisive, that you are calm. I said calm already. Instead of being divisive, that you are inclusive. Right? And so, not using these words for any reason other than they're the ones that first came out of my head, just so you know. No agenda going on here. So that's where we want to be. We want to be the very best version of ourselves on a day when a lot of stuff is happening. Now, there's a temptation also to be like this. These are clouds. There's a temptation to say, well, I'm not anxious and I'm not worried because I am better than everybody else. I'm up here. And down here is chaos. Down here it's a fight, right? Down here there's one side versus the other side, right? And I'm not involved in any of that. I've done my bit, or none of this affects me. And so I'll be completely ignorant of everything and I'll just go about my life. I'm not sure that that's real life. I think real life happens on the streets. Real life happens in relationships. Real life is a bit chaotic, right? Up here, this is dreams. Actually, up here, this is also can be a little bit of privilege to not need to worry, right? And if you are that way, consider at least that you might be fortunate. We talk about our circles. Remember, this is the Archangel Model. You will know more about it. Let's put book below. The first circle here is self. And our goal is that you would feel as good about yourself as you could possibly feel today. As good about yourself as you could possibly feel. That you'd be thriving, soaring, flourishing on a tough day for some. The second thing we want to share is this next circle as part of our model is what we call the sanctum. Normally, there are about 5 people in your inner circle who you are closest to. 5 people. And today, because your goal is to feel good about you, I want to give you permission to surround yourself mostly and to talk with mostly people who understand how you're feeling and understand your values. On an ordinary day, you might have a few more people who are here, who are different than you. But just for today, for you to thrive, let's focus on mostly connecting with people who can really understand you and help you to thrive and help you to be good-humored and help you to be curious. Today is not the day to get in huge arguments with the people closest to you and to ruin lives. Today is the day to just be calm and to be around people who really get you a bit more. The next circle that we talk about in the Archangel Model, again, type book if you want a copy of the book that I'm producing, is what we call supporters. These are people who support you. Now, we encourage anyone in any business or in life to have about 20 supporters, people who would just say, you being this is amazing. You fighting for what you believe in, amazing. You growing your business, amazing. You being good-humored and curious about others, amazing. They're also less likely to say, you being an a-hole to other people, amazing, right? We need supporters who lift us up, not who tear us down. And so on this particular day, what I would want you to do is to also be aware that you're not alone and that you have people here who could do with you connecting with them also. And so get them into here. Start talking with those people. Just as a quick screen here, If you're anxious today, then others are anxious. When people are anxious, they'll have two choices. You can both isolate and get worse, or you have this amazing ability today to connect and to care. And actually today, really good relationships can grow. And that can be your story of the day. That today, even though maybe the result didn't go your way, maybe it did, amazing lifelong friendships were cemented. And so this is a great chance today to connect and to care and to reach out to people. I've been doing that. It's been amazing, right? So that's the power of today. The next circle we want to put this through is what we call the sphere. The sphere. We encourage people to build a deep sphere with not as many people in it. It's more manageable, it's more fun, it's more life-giving, it's richer. There's a higher value of relationship, not just a wide sphere. So perhaps you have 75 people. That's a medium-sized, small-sized sphere of influence, right? The danger here, the biggest danger here, the way you're going to hurt yourself today is assumption. Assumption is a killer. Assumption kills. It kills today if you assume that everyone on your Facebook feed feels the same as you. Assumption kills you today if you assume that everyone on your Facebook feed respects your ability to stay above the fray and to not get involved and to not be anxious. Assumption kills so much if you assume that everyone is just like you. And so what you have to understand is within your sphere of influence, again, the colors mean nothing here, other than red is different to you and green is good for you. And we don't need to make colors about everything, right? So if you assume here that everyone is green, then you're going to really offend the red people. And that's not the job today, to offend people. So be careful with your social media messages. Be careful with the messages you put out to your sphere of influence. Be respectful. Instead of assuming, respect. So as assumption kills, respect lifts up. All right? Respect lifts up. Now this model, we use it for everything. This is just me trying to be creative and apply it to an event. The next sphere of influence in the Archangel, oh, no, it's not a hexagon, is, let me get this right. I'm having trouble finding my endpoint. There we go. There we go. The next circle here is your suburb. The suburb, the places in which you live. It is very hard to sell where you live if you don't like it. And so within your community, you're going to have patches of people who disagree with you. Groups of people. The yard signs are offensive to you. Their lack of yard signs are offensive to you. Everything's offensive these days, isn't it? The trouble is, what it can mean is that your job, in many cases, is to sell your area. And if you don't like your area, how do you sell it? If you don't like your area, how do you sell it? And it's a little like if I gave you a candy bar and I said it's got some mercury in it, now go sell it to a child, right? You would have trouble selling the most delicious candy bar in the world knowing that you didn't really think it was safe, right? And so if you see your area as a divisive place, if you see your suburb as a dangerous place, how do you sell it effectively? But if I gave you the same candy bar and said to the child, and said to you, at one end, there's something a bit toxic. What you would do is you'd break off the toxic bit and you give the candy bar to the kid and you say, this is great. And so what you want to be focusing on are the parts of your community that you love, the things about your community that you love, because your community isn't just political views. And that's the problem with a binary world, is we make people one way or the other way. And that's the last upper circle here that I want to share, is this circle here. And we call this circle society. Society. And on a day like today, it is extremely tempting to divide the world up into two ways or into two colors. And I see some of you doing that on social media, and it's really not so cool. Because a human being isn't just their political views. A human being isn't this side or that side. A human being isn't just their sexuality. A human being isn't just their race. A human being isn't just their age. A human being isn't just their job. For F's sake, right? They're not just that thing. And what this does is it says that people are either good or bad, right? It says they're either good or they're bad, right? Good or bad. And this says that the world is dangerous, right? And what that means is this good or bad mentality starts to drip down into the rest of it. The suburb, there's either good parts or bad parts. Your sphere of influence is people you can trust and people you can't trust. You have supporters, but do you really trust them, right? And so when we moralize this part of our society, it bleeds into the way we feel about ourselves and about everything. And it also will affect the last circle I'm going to share, which is the story. What story will you tell about today? What story will you tell about this day? And you're thinking, well, I don't know what story to tell because the results haven't come in yet. That's very disempowering. You can tell whatever story you want to tell about today, because today could be the day that you met 5 or 6 people and you formed a strong connection, or that you listened to somebody who had a different point of view and you started to understand them more. That you, the results didn't go your way, but you felt known and loved, right? You can tell whatever story you want about this day when you have a model for building relationships around the event. I hope this is helpful. If you want to know more about our Archangel Model, writing a book on it, not just about election day, in fact, not about election day at all, about how you can use this model to build the kind of life you want to pursue the dreams that you have in your heart. Type book underneath this here if you want to pre-order a copy. I'll talk to you all soon.